I'll call the meeting to order if you'll stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. First thing on the agenda is adoption of county budget and the solid waste budget. Tiffany, you had some changes late last night.
So if you look, I presented to council an updated form. When I did my final walkthrough and final call of Baker Tilly, we noticed that the one that you received in your packet for the county had 107 for reassessment and 545 for health. And you would opt to keep those the same as last year. So those highlighted amounts are now 100 and 500,000 for the levy amounts. So those are the only changes that took place.
And then the total is less that amount. So we had a public hearing on the county budget. So any questions, comments?
And this resolution number would be 2023-10.
Pleasure. Do I have a motion for approval of the final budget?
Make a motion, we adopt our ordinance or resolution for the solid waste management district.
This is for the county.
Which one?
The county?
County first?
Yes.
Make a motion, we accept it with the corrections.
Got a motion? Do I have a second?
Yep, I'll second.
Second by Thor. Motion is that we adopt our budget with the corrections 2023-10. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. All those opposed, say. Thank you. Next one is the solid waste budget. Is that it?
Yep, that would be 2023-11.
We had a public hearing on this also, so your pleasure on this one.
I make a motion, we adopt the solid waste budget ordinance 2023-11.
Okay, have a motion by Tom. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Nick. The motion is that we adopt the solid waste budget as presented. Resolution number 2023-11. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same. Passes. Okay. First on the agenda is Judge Rentschler has an additional appropriation. He could not make it. It's an additional $2,500 for mental health evaluation, which you've seen in your packet. They've had an increase in that this year. So any questions for Tiffany? I guess that's about the only one that's going to answer that. So.
Do we have an county general right now?
of today. We have $4,218,413.84.
Do you have any idea, not exactly, but approximately how much of that money is ear tag for anything?
About 3.4.
3.4. Make a motion for the additional request from Judge Rentschler.
Okay, motion from Thor that we
Second.
approve this, second by John. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same. Passes. Paula?
Good morning.
Morning.
The appropriations that are in front of you are not county general. They're our user fees and one of our grants. Just planning ahead so we don't have any negative balances at the end of the year. So there's multiple in front of you. As you know, when I present the budget, normally I have many grants still outstanding, so I'm not really sure what benefits are covered in grants and not. So that's why you'll see a big increase in value. But again, this has nothing to do with county general.
You have several here, Paula.
Yes, and I did, in all the funds, so the grant fund is just wages, the 9310, and then your FICA, Medicare, and project income. There's insurance, so it's mainly employee benefits. And I do have cash to support the immigration.
Would you like to take these one at a time, or do you want to do them all at once?
And like you said, none of this comes out of county general. You're
No.
just moving money around to cover.
Moving money around just because when I present the county budget, I don't know, my grants aren't in, so
Okay.
I guess what I think, maybe getting the grants, but then if not, I have to cover these fees.
Okay.
Because county doesn't fund any of our benefits.
I'll make a motion to approve in a lump motion for all requests.
So you're talking the 25,000 for group insurance, 49,000 for PERF, 57,000 for FICA and Medicare, and 4,000 for shift supervisor.
For the grand total of,
That I do not have. You can tell here.
are you doing it by hand?
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
I just appreciate,
135,000.
I just appreciate you finishing up my motion and doing that for me.
So,
One second.
okay, motion by Thor, second by Tim, that we lump all these together, 135,000 in appropriations that will come from her funds, not the county. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ryan, checks, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
Appropriation for additional funds for the calcium chloride to treat gravel dirt roads.
This is for the group insurance. Yes, we already approved that one. Yep. So this is the 30,000 for your group insurance.
That's also coming out of our funds, correct?
Yep.
Was there, I mean, and you may or may not have the answer, but maybe Tiffany does. Is there a reason that budget was so far off on that? Or what is the reason the budget was so far off?
From what I can tell, from what was set and adopted last budget cycle did not include engineer taking insurance and family. So that was a big increase. That's alone is, let's see, about 2,000 a month for that. And there was other individuals at the highway department that decided to take insurance for one reason or another. I don't know why. So there's been a big hit.
Yeah, that's generally that's on bond,
Mhm.
additional appropriation that we don't hardly see.
Yeah,
Um,
so I'm not
And that's been
sure.
corrected for next year's budget.
We've looked at it as best we could with me not necessarily knowing all of it and Ryan coming and speaking with me.
What time frame is this 30,000 covering? What time date?
The whole year.
Next year or this year?
That's for the rest of this year.
This year.
Mhm.
And you think it's already included in the budget that we passed for next year?
We're hoping so.
Okay. Any other questions for Ryan or? Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by John for approval. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Nick that we approve this $30,000 additional appropriation. Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, the same.
One more thing real quick. if
Okay.
I may, just kind of a heads up for probably the next meeting. One of our mowing tractors had a catastrophic engine failure. Will need to be replaced. A tractor that was purchased earlier this year, the boom mower that's on it does not really work for safety reasons. So we've got quotes from several dealers to replace both tractors. And we talked to the commissioners about that. And, we do have some cash reserves in MVH 1176 that will be asking for some funds to replace those tractors yet this year. We'll at least need to sign the purchase agreements this year because it's 2 years. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Does that include mowers with them or just the tractor,
It'll be
the whole unit?
ditch mowers and each of those are able to accept a boom mower as well. So boom mower will probably be purchased next year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna change the agenda a little bit. Jen asked to be moved up, so for her part-time pay scale discussion.
Okay, sit here.
Sure.
Good morning. Apologize, I missed last month's meeting, but the part-time pay sometimes gets overlooked when we do the salary ordinance, and I've had a lot of questions, so I just want to make sure that I was clear and everyone was clear what you wanted to do with the part-time pay for 2024 and moving forward. In 2020, the maximum hourly rate for part-time employees was increased from $17 to $22.48. Prior to that, the last increase was from $15 to $17 in 2013. $22.48 at that time was the external midpoint hourly rate for the job category civilian poll 3, according to the May 7th, 2019 salary ordinance done by WIS. Civilian pool 3 is only one of 22 job categories. I didn't know if it was your intent to continue to have that maximum be the civilian pool 3 hourly rate. If so, that hourly rate is up to $25.56. I did present to you in your packets an option, and that would be to have the maximum hourly rate be according to where that position is classified. And WIS did classify every part-time position. And I did list also the different positions that we have. I've also had the question of whether you're just going to increase the 2248 by 4% or whether you're going to leave it alone. But again, I watched the meeting from last month and I didn't catch that it was discussed. So I just wanted to make sure it didn't get missed. And I do have the 2019 WIS that shows where the 2248 came from. I know it's been a while.
However you guys want to get through it.
I know, I apologize, it's very small. I highlighted it, but it is very small. It's just showing you that that's one job category out of several.
That is a little small, isn't it?
Usually when it's so small, I'm trying to hide something.
I can blow it up. You probably have that somewhere.
I noticed on some of these, Jen, that categories that were large increases.
Right, so it's intended to be a scale. We've always done, for whatever reason, a scale from minimum wage to a certain amount. And so part-time employees, the department head is allowed to pay them anywhere on that scale. So the intent with this is to maintain that scale, to continue to give department heads that ability to do that. But it's to, you know, create a different maximum depending on what the position is. Because, I mean, we have anywhere from secretaries to a nurse. And I don't think it's appropriate to have the same maximum rate for those types of positions. You know, we could just create a system where we're, you know, paying a part-time secretary, for example, more than we are a full-time nurse or something like that, or vice versa. So, you know, WIS did give us guidelines as far as where those part-time positions should be. And so that's where I came up with this here that I presented to you. So it would still be a scale. So it wouldn't necessarily have to change for any position what the department heads budgeted for 2024. They could still pay them what they were intending to pay them. That makes sense.
What kind of timeline are you on this?
I'm not on the timeline.
Okay.
I know that when you pass the salary ordinance on the first page, traditionally it gives the part-time rate. So that is up to you, what you want to do.
And I did change the verbiage after speaking with Jen on that. And you'll notice your first part there says the part-time hourly wage cap shall be set by county council. That way we're not having to change it every time you make a increase for that. So we're okay to still move forward and adopt our salary ordinance. Whatever we decide for the part-time won't affect this. But we would obviously like it set to be able to move forward.
Just the second category of dental one is lower.
It does not. I did check and make sure. It does not. They are all currently being paid under those figures. So no one would receive a pay decrease.
So we can take this and think about it till our next meeting? Or we can discuss it and make a decision today?
We do have a personnel meeting after this.
How will this affect the adoption, the fact we've already adopted the budget for next year? We have to,
It won't, because a specific department has their lump sum of what they were going to pay individuals. So all we see is a lump sum, not 3 different employees make 3 different amounts.
They'll have to stay within their budget.
Right.
They'll have to stay within what they requested,
Yeah.
or come to us for additional.
So if we're looking at the raises that we get from the standpoint of the cost of living increase and trying to evaluate it that way, which is my belief that that's what we're doing. There might be differences of opinion on that. Then I think it would be appropriate just to apply the 4% to each and every person's individual hourly rate for next year's wages. At the direction of the department head is still their decision, but with that increase, with the understanding that that 4% increase is for part-time salaries also.
Any other thoughts on that? Don't you leave.
Doesn't form a motion for.
No, I think we're just having discussion right now. I don't know if there's enough people that are comfortable with the issue being brought up that we're ready to make a decision.
We want to think about it till next meeting, we can, doesn't hinder us from, approving the salary ordinance.
I think it's something that we should probably just try to hash out right now. If we have to make a decision on it. I mean, that's my opinion. I will change it to the form of a motion, and if it doesn't go, then we can table it for a month if somebody would like to. But I'll change mine to the form of a motion, John, if that answers your question. Yes. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second that we also increase the part-time, the 4% that we gave full-time employees. Discussion.
Is that actually what you're asking today? If we're going to give the 4%, or you want to know what we're going to do for all the part-time at each pay scale?
That wasn't necessarily what I was asking for now. I don't know if the department has budgeted for 4% for the part-time. My concern with that.
Okay.
It would, yeah, that's my only concern.
Still X amount of dollars in the 2024 budget for part-time on it, and it's up to the individual elected official or supervisor to determine how that money is dispersed.
You could increase the 2248 by 4%, but that would be the maximum that a part-time person could get paid. And then the department would still have the wiggle room to either do that or not do it, depending on how they budget it. But Sheriff is saying that he did not budget.
We do not budget that because we don't know the figures to bring to you. So therefore, we leave, when we budget that, or when we do our budgets, we leave it at the 23 rate because it's your determination on that part-time scale. So we don't touch it. When I submitted our budget with help of Jody, Janelle, and everybody, we don't touch the overtime or the part-time rate. It is at the 23 rate. This year's rate when it was presented to you for 24, pending your guys' decision on what you did with part-time. So as a department head, I didn't touch part-time or put any increase in it. Because we do, like she said earlier, there is a group of bulk of part-time people that have this lump sum that's paid out. So no, we don't, I did not touch that. I don't know if anybody else has part-time that did or did not. So coming from us, we did.
In that case, then, if we would approve it on this means, then you would need to come to council for an additional appropriation before you would give any raises to your part-time salary.
But it's minimal people. It's
Right.
minimal personnel. It'd be easy to do, but just an example, I think, just so you knew, I didn't know how the department has it, but I did not.
Or if your part-time budget goes down, and if you think you don't use it all, then you don't have to come. If you do, then you might have to come for an addition.
Yeah, but yes, but I didn't know if you wanted to know that before the end of the year, like the Thor was saying, do we need to get that figure and bring it back to you guys yet this year so you know what that number is? Or are you just worried about coming forward next year as we move through the year?
I think it's a small enough amount of money, like you said, that it's probably going to be absorbed by unemployment when you have open positions. I don't think it's even gonna be something
I'm
that
not gonna have open positions this year.
you will always have. open positions. You will always have.
I'm not gonna have open positions.
Um,
I get what you're saying, but I just, as that example, and then I guess we can approach it either way. It doesn't matter. Just, I mean, you guys are already aware of it, so it doesn't matter.
That's right.
Well, back to what Jen's here for, I think you're looking more for a standard to follow versus,
That would be my preference,
I think
but,
that's what she's asking.
but if you don't want to do that, I mean, that is up to you. That would obviously be my preference, but
What I'm
there are
trying to do,
other
I guess,
options.
is to set the standard. I think it's an appropriate standard to make universal as far as the raise that we give.
So you want to add
We would
two.
have to look at it differently if we were giving a dollar amount raise rather than a percentage raise. But I think as long as we're giving a percentage raise, I think that that is addressing the situation.
So you don't want to follow the standard, you want to just do what we do for the full-time employees every year. for the full-time employees? That
When you
one?
say follow this standard, what
She's
are you
here
referring to?
she's here to have our base set. And now you're adding that to it. Right. So that kind of changes what she's asking or presenting to us. So do you want to go with her base? Do you think that's a good idea and the 4%, or you want to follow what we're doing now, which is the top line, and do the 4%?
I didn't know that we were off base on where we were on our standards.
Here's where we are, and this is saying we may not go. I'm just asking because you're adding into it.
I'm just saying we have a lot of different positions, like I said, ranging from your secretary all the way to your nurse. Those are the two extremes. And if you choose one rate, like your 2248, for example, it may be too low for your nurse and it may be too high for your other positions. I guess I don't really understand why you would have one rate that would cover all of those.
We don't. We have a rate or a cap that we set, and it's up to the department heads to decide where they fit in that and the appropriate pay scale and wages. We
Right.
don't input that on part-time.
And I'm just suggesting we have a different cap for the different positions based on where they're classified. That's what I present.
Well, then I think it's appropriate that I withdraw my motion and that all of these part-time positions get evaluated through WIS to find out where they should be at. I didn't know we.
They already have. They've already been evaluated in 2019. I know that spreadsheet's very small, but I can give you a better copy. But there are 7 different sheets like that. This is just the civilian poll. There's merit poll, there's comment, there's PAT. And when they did the full-time positions, they also did the part-time positions. So all the part-time positions are classified, and that's what this is here that I presented. So here's your civilian poll, and here's the part-time positions and where they're classified. Here's your comment, here's the part-time positions and where they're classified. LTC and PAT.
I withdraw my motion.
Second withdraw.
Okay. Motions have been withdrawn. I guess,
Can we have the personnel committee take a look at this and then give the recommendations?
yeah, that's what I was going to suggest on that. So, like I say, it will not bother the adoption of the salary ordinance
I'll make a motion to table until next week.
next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, have a motion by Tom to table this. Is there a second? Okay, second by Kim.
Would the personnel committee meet in between them?
Today.
So We might not be quite ready because getting this information right now is not really fair to try to digest it and think about it. So it might be a month or two before we get through this. It's my feeling on this, so. So I have a motion to table this and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed. Thank you, Jim. Okay, right here. Scott?
We said, wait there, he goes,
Wherever you want.
I'm like an elbow here. He keep me away. Morning.
Morning.
Well, originally I was on the agenda because we had a little issue with our budget. We got everything straightened out. Thanks to the auditor and Randy. The next thing I wanted to discuss was we've been running our Durango for a year off of just trying to use HT. We're finding out that the batteries are dying on us because we purchased those in 2004. They don't make batteries for those HTs anymore. So we figured the easiest, simplest, the cheapest way to go is if we just put a mobile radio into the Durango for everyone to use.
What are you gonna do when you're outside the vehicle and you need the radio?
Usually law enforcement standing there, and after looking at the price to bring it onto the sheriff's department or the city system, just replace our 4 HTs was $24,000, and I wasn't interested in spending that kind of money, so I figured, 6,000 would be a little more reasonable. Usually we have law enforcement there that can answer for us when we get to the scene and stuff. We haven't, over the last year, we haven't been using our channel as much as we used to because we've been running solos because we haven't had the second person. Will Tucker has got through medical legal. He just has an externship, so he'll be out probably another month. And I have Michelle Hayden, who's a Ford City, a homicide detective, that'll be coming on after the first of the year. So maybe next year I'll look at replacing our HTs we got in 2004. But this is kind of an easy fix. Basically I'm asking permission. I'll come back next month if you guys agree to it and ask for the money. I will say that we are at 68 autopsies this year. I budgeted for 48. Matt. I'll probably see you next month. As Tiffany knows, because you're going to
Run out of money.
yeah, because we have another quarter to go. I will say that motor vehicle accidents, drug overdoses, and suicides are off the scale statewide. I just met with the Kosciuszko County coroner last Thursday, and he said that he had to go and get almost $80,000 more just for his autopsy fund. So I don't know, the counties run the same thing. And we hear it through our association that everyone statewide is complaining about the work. And I gotta be honest with you, I wish my car would never move or I'd never move. My phone wouldn't ring, but that isn't reality.
So what, do you have a figure in mind on, you said 6,000 on the mobile radio, but what about the additional appropriation you're gonna be coming back in next month?
I'm waiting for the bill that Randy just got. I saw it on the email this morning when I went through the office. And that will take care of the autopsy fund. We still have outstanding bills that.
And how much was that, Scott, for the year?
For the year, Tiffany helped me out. It was 80.
Okay, so there was $79,510 that was appropriated, and we've spent $68,557.50.
But you have outstanding bills that'll eat that up, correct?
Right now, I think what Randy told me earlier is we'll be down to one autopsy for the rest of the year. So,
How many done this year?
68.
So that's about 25,000 a quarter, a little more than that. So your additional might be 25, 30,000 next month request.
I hope not, but yes, could be reasonable. Well, I'm one of the officers, you can't predict what we're gonna do next week. I hope we never
Sure.
make another call the rest of the year, but
Just using averages, that's
sure.
Scott, explain your thought process on getting the $6,000 radio now, but then next year coming back to the $24,000 radios. Why wouldn't we just, I mean, that's a quarter of it, that's 25%. Why wouldn't we just ask for the handheld replacements now, knowing that we really wouldn't need a car radio then?
Because I didn't want to spend $24,000. I guess I didn't want to ask for that.
But when you say you're gonna want to spend it next year, I mean, I don't see what the,
Well,
I don't see what the,
I'm waiting to
offsetting
see what the Pell Grant is going to offer next year. That's a grant that's offered to us as far as equipment, facilities, upgrades and stuff. And they list off what's in it, and it comes out in February. So if I can get the HT replaced through that, some of our camera equipment and some other things, I'd rather do it through the grant than come in and ask you for the money.
So if that grant comes through and you're able to purchase the radios, do you still need the radio you're requesting?
Yeah, because I'd like to get through the get through the rest of the year. In the next year, because that grant won't come out until mid-year.
So did you bring in information on the types of radios you're interested in?
Yeah, I have the quote here, but I didn't get it emailed to me in time to get it out to you guys, and I plan on coming back next month. So I'm just looking to see if I get it moved forward or stop, or
It's
what
nice
you'd
to,
like
it's
me to
nice to
do.
have that so we know what
Sure.
actually considered.
Those same radios that the sheriff's department has in
Yes,
their
that's-
vehicles.
I don't know if it's the same one they have in their vehicles. It's the one that goes with the system that they're putting in. And the same that the city has. They use HTs on the city, and to be honest with you, I have no problem doing HTs, but when you equip 5 people with them at $6,000 a crack, to me, that's a lot of money.
Your thoughts?
How many vehicles do you have?
One.
That's all, and you just want to put a radio in one vehicle. And that would cover everything you need essentially. If you don't get through that grant, the handhelds next year, you wouldn't have to have them. You could get by without them.
I think we could probably push the original HTs out another, who knows if the battery dies, or, we used to have 4 and we're down to 3. They're obviously 20 plus years old.
But do you think getting the radio in the vehicle, you'd have to replace those at some point, or you could do without them?
I'm not sure how to answer that. Sorry, I've been on half sleep. And I got to head to Brazil, Indiana after this, so.
I guess,
If you want me to get a proposal around for just HTs, I'll do that.
I was looking at the easy and quick way, at least we had radio communication because we're going to come from, but
Jason, you have any used ones we can buy off of you?
you're not very asking.
No.
I've already hit up the EMA and Jason. Go ahead.
Well, you're at a scene, or you're going, is there any possible use of just cell phones instead of radios for, especially your part-times that hardly have a run?
Well, that way, what we use it for is when we go on scene, when we transport to the forensic center. Let me tell you, go to the forensic center, if you ever try going to their building and you're trying to talk on your cell phone, we've already had a car wiped out from a transport service because he was talking on a cell phone going into the forensic center area because it's a maze to get in there. You know, I don't like cell phones myself. Used to, you know, you can't hear what's going on. The officers can't tell us which way to go. We can't listen to the other traffic, fire traffic. You know, and sometimes it's important for us to gather information as we're going, and a lot of it's being broadcasted over the radio. So if we just do it over cell phones,
But if you have an HT and you're using that,
you're listening. You know.
but I'm just
Yeah, I know
thinking,
what you're saying.
you have, you know, some of your people don't make a lot of runs in a year, but we still have to equip them with an expensive radio. I'm trying to
Yeah, I
understand that.
understand. I
You know.
understand where you're coming from, and that's why I'm hoping on the HT side, I can get grant money again. Which, you know, but I would like to get the mobile radio, get permission to move forward until get the final pricing for you.
So on every call, who's ever, your deputies or whoever, they come and get the van before they go to the scene every time?
That's what we're gonna be doing, yes.
Okay. So they can listen to the radio in car
Mhm.
from the time they pick it up to when they get to scene and have radio communications.
Yes.
Have you had an opportunity to check with Komsky? I know he refurbishes some stuff out there, see if he's got a stopgap car radio that he could put in.
I could check into that and get a price. Like I said, my budget shot for this year, that's why I'm here, because my original goal was, is I normally give back to the county every year. And I was gonna come in and ask for the price out of that I was giving back. Obviously, as I said earlier, we're gonna be way over budget. Not by choice.
I guess I'm thinking, get your prices, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be approved at the next meeting.
Okay.
But Dora, I think you had a good idea there. Check to see if there's something around that,
Josh is pretty good.
you know, but might not be, but again, you know, we buy it and then we turn around and hopefully through a grant, we get these other radios, but
That's how we got them last time, is through the state police actually had a grant that was available to us. And they gave us 4.
so general consensus that we're okay with at least looking at the dollar amounts and so forth at next meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Where do you want to go in?
I think I'm going to switch up the agenda just a second and do the county salary ordinance.
And that would be 2023-12.
2023-12. One thing on this, I believe, Tiffany, you set out the part-time people on this, or positions.
That is something that has been asked, that they'd like to see how many actual employees are in departments. So I worked with Jen and kind of came up with adding those. That way you can reference and see how many individuals are in each individual department.
So this has a 4% cost of living allocation. This does not affect the part-time candidates we talked about. Discussion? I'll also take a motion.
Take a motion, we approve the Whitley County salary orders for 2024. It's 2023-12.
Okay. I have a motion by John that we approve ordinance number 2023-12. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Thor. Discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the ordinance, raise your right hand. All those opposed, the same. Passes. Okay. Next on the agenda is dispatch council discussion.
So in the September 18th commissioner meeting, we voted once again to purchase Motorola consoles for our dispenser. We're close, we have less than 1 year before we move into our new jail, build out that dispatch center. And so it's our hope that when doing so, we'll have the Motorola consoles in there while it's built. We can just make the move from one dispatch center to the next. And so we voted to use, once again, ARPA funds. Our original ARPA plan included consoles. At that time, council was not prepared to approve that expense. We approved the HTs, but not consoles. And so we're here today to have a discussion in hopes that we can have those ARPA funds allocated in order to purchase those Motorola consoles. I know that there's been question about making that purchase without a bid process. In this case, the Motorola system that we're wanting to use is a hard line. It's a wired unit, and it's a single source. Motorola is the source that makes those wired lines. So I did take the time to print the Indiana code that allows for single source purchase. And beneath that, there's also an email from our new county attorney in Roxburger that also discusses the single source purchase. So the pricing is set by a QPA, a quality purchase agreement. It's a state contract with Motorola that locks in the pricing. So we're not going through a vendor who sells Motorola equipment like EMR. We're going directly to Motorola. for the purchase. I'm gonna let Jason speak, and we also have an expert in the room.
Hey, Chad, hang on
Yeah.
one second. I want to address the exhibit.
Yeah.
Where are we looking on these other two pages? Where are these?
This is from the county attorney, from single source purchasing. So that should answer any questions about how we can make that purchase without a bid process. Put it out to bid, but no one can bid on it. It's single source. It's coming from Motorola, and they're the only unit that has the hardware. It's fiber directly to.
Essentially future-proof until the equipment itself fails, right?
Can I say something real quick? I don't want you to get the information wrong. It's not Motorola that sets that standard. It's the tip that sets that standard as far as who's able to connect via wireline. So it's not the vendor making these rules purchasing from. It's the state of Indiana, the system itself that governs those rules. So I don't want you to think there's a vendor making rules. It's actually IPSIT, the state of Indiana, that controls and makes the regulations and maintains that 800 system. And she's actually in the room. Kelly is in the room this morning in case you have questions for her on how the 800 system works. We did bring her in today to should any questions or anything that you guys need to know about the 800 system and how that works. And also there's about 3 pages worth of advantages to the 800 system hooked up to the direct wire line, and that's why we really go that route. We've actually already had site visits with the fiber provider to the new site out there. We've already had one. So that's one of the things. Yes, sir.
Who else uses it? Is there another county that's using it?
That would be a great Kelly question because she would be able to tell you that.
Good morning. Just to introduce myself, I'm Kelly Dignan. I'm the executive director of the Integrated Public Safety Commission. I'm recommended by the commission and appointed by the governor to run the state system. When I say state system, it's a statewide system that you own. It's paid for through BMB tax dollars, and it's owned by any participating public safety agency. You have representation on that board, and that board is made up of 13 members appointed by the governor. So we have about 17 counties that connect back to the state system using wireline, and all the state police posts, the Department of Correction and Department of Natural Resources all use wireline council. Columbia City uses wireline council.
Now that, the way I understand it, if that fails, like here, that you pick it up from another city or another county, you can bounce around if you have a failure.
No, so that's the way wireless works.
Okay.
So here, and I know that for some reason, there is a buzz around Whitley County that the Columbia site goes in the site trunking, which is that loss of connectivity often, and it does not. We reran the numbers and shared it with the sheriff. So in the last 14 months, you've had 32 minutes disconnect total for the entire 14 months. However, on a wireless council, if that connection drops from that tower, that wireless radio system will try to affiliate with a different tower further away if it has the ability to do that. Wireline council doesn't affiliate with a tower. It's connected directly to the state system so that site trunking doesn't happen. That's one of the benefits of a wireline council. You eliminate that issue altogether.
What if your wire gets broke partway down the state?
Then that's when you use your wireless council backup. So this adds a layer of reliability and connectivity. It's pretty rare for wireline to lose their connectivity, particularly now that we're on 5G. We don't allow copper connection anymore.
If it's that good, then how come you only got 17 on it?
Because when the system was originally built, we had only a limited number of wireline councils that could connect. And so at that time, we had 18 state police posts. And so that was the priority. for the state to allow the state system to accommodate those along with DNR, particularly the amount of space that they cover. They're not a county, they're 8 counties or 6 counties. So we allowed them to connect first. And then there were a handful of counties that also connected. It just was a limited resource, so we didn't really promote it. With the latest upgrades, it's unlimited. And so anybody who wants to connect can connect via wireline. And there's 2 pages of benefits of wireline and why wireline is more reliable, safer, feature rich and feature.
So are you guys gonna, sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you guys train our officers on how to use the system?
Yes, we provide free training.
So I'll get to my question in a minute. But anyway, I've been attending the Fire Chiefs Association meeting. I've had 3 presentations on radios for 800s for the fire departments. And everybody has said so far that for the 800s to work, there's going to have to be a tower put down in southern Whitley County, South Whitley, somewhere. So is that true?
What depends on the radio you choose?
800.
It still depends on the radio you choose. So the way the system works now with the advancements of technology, our system now allows radios to connect, if you purchase the right radios, to connect via cellular. So if you get into a low coverage area on the radio side, it'll connect via cellular or Wi-Fi. So I have a radio that if I carry a hotspot, so the sheriff's department carries those radios today. They have no coverage issues with them because they carry those radios. There's also Wi-Fi devices that you can use. I have one in my bag that I can show you.
The fire department, the chief and assistant chief of Cleveland Township's been carrying them, trying them all out. They still lose when they walk in the building.
So is the building that they're walking into have Wi-Fi? And have they programmed
Not all houses do on runs, no.
it? If there's not a radio system built in the world anywhere that's going to give you 100% coverage.
Well,
And
then
anyone who says they can give you 100% coverage should be a red flag.
But-
It's not possible.
everyone has told me we gotta have a tower. No matter what system we go with, we have to have a tower. So my next question is, they want new consoles. I haven't seen a repair list to see what's wrong with our old ones yet, to know why we need new consoles to begin with. And I haven't heard anything, speaking of a tower, at the new correction facility out here north of town. So,
I'd like to just keep you in mind that I'm not selling it.
I know,
And I have nothing to gain.
okay,
So the folks who are telling you have to have a tower, are they wanting to sell you something? Are they,
so
They have
with your
something to
wireless
gain.
system, we won't need a tower.
it depends on the radio you purchase. So you would have to sit down and say, what fire department's coming on? By the way, an additional tower is one option. There's multiple ways that you can approach this gap that's in South Whitley.
Okay.
So it could be either purchasing a more robust radio, it could be a repeater, it could be vehicle repeaters on the trucks. So there's multiple options that you have, and we're happy to work with you at no cost to the county. That's what we do. That's what the tax dollars pay us to do. So we'd be happy to sit down with you and help you develop a plan to, if the fire departments want to move over and use 800 full-time, we'd be happy to help you to do that. But a tower is one of several options
Okay.
you would look at.
And I was pointing fingers
Personally,
at you, I was just explaining what I,
Personally,
meetings I
I
went
think
through.
the tower should be your last option because they're costly. Since I become the director, I haven't added one tower to our system. It's just, we can use the LTE. I say let Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, let them build those expensive towers. We'll leverage it.
If I have a metal building, I don't get reception inside of it. If I put a tower up outside my building, would that give me reception inside the building?
Probably, but that's an expensive way to do that. You should put a repeater inside of it.
So you're here for the line. You're here for the state, or the hard wired line, correct? So how does that work on regulations, or how often is the state going to say, okay, we're going to change this? I don't know what I'm saying because I have no education on this. How often does the state come back and change what you have presented? Like 3 years down the road, or, because I imagine there's a charge for this. 3 years down the line, are they gonna say, okay, we're changing this to this, or how long does this last? What you're presenting to the, again, we have no information. So I'm assuming you've given them a package or some kind of time frame, or you do this on a yearly basis. I don't know, but is there a fee to run on the line?
So the IPSC system doesn't have fees. Where this Indiana is one of the only states, I believe the only state in the country, that rebuilt the system. And it's there to use. You just buy the radio equipment and show up. There is no user fees. Which all the states around us, along with any other state, charge user fees. So you're not going to get a user fee from IPSC.
Is there a connection fee?
So I think the question you're asking is, so the wireline councils that have been in place for years were run anywhere from last year up through 22 years ago. That connection that was ran 22 years ago was a copper connection. And we're just now saying, we want to upgrade it to fiber. And so if a county says, I don't want to upgrade my circuit to fiber, you can keep it out. It's their circuit.
That
We
doesn't answer
make
my question.
So we make recommendations about your connectivity, but we're not going to force you to make changes if you don't have budget means to make those changes. So in the 22 years IPSC has been in existence, we have not forced the county to make a change. Now, the wireline console you purchase is a radio, and those radios are usually good for 7 to 10 years. And then when those 7 to 10 years are up, you have to reevaluate. Do they still have life in them, or probably we need to start planning? I would recommend you follow the 7 to 10 year process.
Since we don't have any information, we need to baby step this.
Sure.
I want to stay on the hardwire. Okay, the hardwire is Indianapolis, I'm assuming, or wherever the main.
It's whoever carrier you choose. So right now, we have an agreement with AT&T. AT&T would run that circuit. We're also working with Comcast, so Comcast can give you information. So if you decide Comcast for AT&T, you want to run the circuit, we would create an agreement with Comcast for AT&T and have that fiber circuit ran. We would connect the new jail to our core in Indianapolis.
Okay, so the core is out of Indianapolis, and let's say we go to AT&T. So AT&T connects from the detention center to Indy.
Correct.
And they're responsible for the line, not the state.
Do we pay them
So
a
that
fee?
puts another entity in the work. So we're not just dealing with the state for the hardwire, we're also dealing with AT&T.
We're gonna have a regular internet line bill like we would anywhere else to feed the building. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm trying to
IPSC
figure
has
out the
no
main
bills.
line.
They're a state system funded by taxpayers. We have a fee, like we already do, to service our building with internet. That is a single source line. So that line is strictly for that wire line. So yes, it's contracted from AT&T. You set this all up through the state. It's contracted through AT&T. They contracted through Brightspeed. The site visit I talked about earlier was with Brightspeed, who is contracted through AT&T. Because that's what services.
But you're gonna have that anyway, so that's not gonna be an additional
You
charge.
got a fee, not that we already pay, yeah, we're already paying internet to our building a couple hours. Yeah,
And
so we're already prepared for that. Yeah, we know we're gonna pay internet line going in.
you're paying for it, but part of the service that it offers is we do monitor that circuit along with AT&T. So if that circuit goes down, it's IPSC who is going to say, AT&T, I need a ticket open, I need a technician out there. That's just part of the services.
What's the closest county to us that's on this?
Probably 6.
No, that's on the state line.
Let me say it.
Let me say.
Yeah, when they built their new system, they went straight wire. And
Elder,
Tor should be able to tell you, they don't go site trunking because they don't have that issue. They don't get the geeks. Did that tell you?
I hope that answers.
It does.
It seems kind of odd because I've been spending a lot of time with Kosciuszko County talking to them about the radio system. I know. And they found out now, instead of buying the new radios and everything, they figured out they could put up another tower down at Claypool and eliminate a lot of the problems. I guess I'm trying to understand the straight wire versus the way we've got it right now. And I'm a little leery when you travel a line or have a line that goes multiple miles, the risk that you're taking if somebody would happen to get into it.
I can just tell you that, so in Grant County, we had a copper line. Copper gives off heat. It's also covered in plastic materials, actually sodium and soy. It gives off heat, rodents attract to it, get warm, and then they say, hey, this tastes good, and they chew on it. That's where we have our issues. But when we run fiber, we don't. So when we look at Grant County, the Marion site in Grant County, that every time it rained, we would see some site trucking issues. It's because the mice chew through that sheathing and the wet on the circuit. When we switched that over, the 4 months prior to switching it over, we had about 10,000 minutes of site trucking. The 4 months following the switch over to fiber, it was like 10 months.
So Grant
I
County,
promise you that fiber is much more reliable. It does not give off heat. It doesn't attract mice. The pedestals that sit on the side of the road that cars run into, those are really the copper and not the fiber. So we don't see, in the last year of us switching over, we're not seeing issues with the fiber like we did for the copper, which is why the state is investing in switching all of our sites over to fiber.
is Grant County on your system
Grant County uses our system as a backup.
as a backup? It's not their main.
No.
I'm surprised that there's only 17.
That's because it was never promoted and never really open to allow it. And our last upgrade, since I became the director, our last upgrade allowed that door to open. And there's so much benefits to it that we're now making it known, if you want a wireline council, you can do this. There's no limitations anymore.
Chad, you guys are recommending that we do this, correct?
This is the system that we want to use.
Okay, so we just have to make sure that there's money in the budget to do it, and you're saying use our budget,
Funds
right?
are available in our budget.
And this is what the sheriff department wants.
This is what we want. This is what we want to go to, yes.
So I think, in my opinion, we should go off of commissioner's decision, and this is a safety issue, I'm assuming. It can be.
We're building a $37 million jail with a dispatch center in it. I think our dispatchers have been through enough over the past years of grief. We're trying to do the best thing we can for this jail. We're trying to build the best jail we can for the money that we can spend for the next 50 years is what we're doing. I don't see any reason why we don't want to obtain the best materials and the best equipment we can for professional service and public safety for our community. That's the thing I'm going for.
I hate to interrupt. Can I make a comment? Because I think you guys need more education. Okay? I'm Ted from J&K Communications, and I'm gonna lose some friends here. But is it worth $250,000 more buying Motorola over Zetron? They didn't tell you that. $250,000 more just because you're buying the Motorola console.
Gonna go for.
And you're buying that just because you want a hard line. I'm with you. 92 counties, only 19 of them use hard lines, and most of them are state agency.
No, it's 17 addition to the state agencies.
Okay. And Zetron is communicating, which Kel hasn't said anything yet, to do the hard line. Their negotiation do the same thing. And you're not going to be in this facility until next year. Have they said they've got a quote from J&K? No. We came in $450,000 with a hard line. Same thing.
First of all, you can't do that. It's
No.
not been approved.
It's not been approved.
So just so you're aware, for full transparency, the Wireline Council does have 2 pages listed of better benefits features, which is why V-Tron wants to do hardline as well. They're talking to me about how can we do hardline. So, and yes, I am talking to them, but I've been talking to them for over a year and I'm not getting anywhere with them. We were supposed to see something in July and I still have yet to see anything. So my goal is to make every manufacturer equal playing ground to Motorola. I want you all to give Motorola a run for their money, but we're not there. The other manufacturers unfortunately don't have the capabilities that Motorola has. I'm pressing hard for wireline councils from Z-Tron along with Harris. I'm pressing hard for Harris to be able to connect using LTE devices. Pressing hard for Kenwood to also do the same. Harris is in the process of developing it. We were supposed to hear something from them also in July. We haven't yet. Kenwood's not even close. They're not. They won't even talk to me about it. No, I'm talking about LTE. So the other manufacturers are a little bit behind the times on when it comes to P25. They are talking to us. We're trying to negotiate. We're trying to get them to become feature rich on our systems. We're just behind the times. They see the benefits. They see why they need to do it, which is why they're trying to talk with us. They're just not there yet.
Okay, let me.
I want to stop something right now. We have not had a proposal. This is a tough meeting to try to learn about this. And there's been a lot of time that we could have gotten information, even had a meeting where we got educated. I struggle with trying to consume all this information and feeling pressured to approve spending that we don't understand. And even in the commissioners meeting, Jason, you said you didn't understand it. Chad, you said you didn't understand it.
What is there not to understand? Because we've been talking about upgrading equipment for the last 6 to 7 years. It's been proposed, and this council has done nothing but either reject it or table it and then forget about it.
But we have nothing in front of us to look at this or to be understanding. This is a tough thing to try to come up with questions without having any information in front of us like happened before. So
we've been through 3 quotes.
Yeah, but we haven't gotten anything. We haven't had any education from you. We wanted to meet with, that's what.
Who wanted me? Nobody has ever called me for a meeting to understand dispatch one time.
But we've been waiting for information. We haven't gotten anything.
On what?
On where we're at.
Nobody has contacted me wanting information with dispatch at all. All we've done is talk about a combined dispatch for the last year and a half, and it's been put off.
And we
We've
need,
had private meetings through the back door.
I haven't had any meeting.
I'm saying as a group, the council has been instructed, there's been information given on combined dispatch.
on combined dispatch, but not on this.
It is. You paid $6,000 a piece per entity. Did you not as a council, okay? And we've done this. And we keep trying to upgrade to the best equipment. We're trying to keep our employees of 13 in dispatch. How do you think they feel every time when they come over here or watch a council meeting, not knowing if their job's in jeopardy?
Okay, but let me say something. How can we make this decision? I have nothing. I don't know how many you're buying.
The commissioners have vetted this out. We're here for funding. So remember your role as council is funding, not to make the policy.
Let me make a comment, can I please?
No.
No, why not?
Because this is a public meeting.
Right.
Sit down.
That's enough comment for
Also,
that.
in addition, gentlemen, I believe you should abstain from the conversation. Can you state your relationship to this
He's
man?
my brother, but there's nothing on the table.
Yeah.
And if there was, I would
Look,
abstain.
I'm just,
Yes, this is a good turn.
You know, it's not gonna turn an argument. I just asked the question that says, do you realize you're paying $250,000 more for a hardline console? That's all I'm asking. For taxpayers, you're paying $635 versus $450. Is today's console wireless works? It's been working for the last 12 years, but Jason wants a hardline. I understand that. But I'm just saying, I agree with them. We haven't educated them into two consoles at all. Well, they used to give in and said you wanted something. So I just want to say something that it's not just one vendor here. And I said I'd lose friends. Sorry.
I'll state again that I believe we need to go off the commissioner's recommendation.
I support that statement.
Are we just here for discussion today?
Yeah, this is just supposed to be discussion. We don't have anything before us.
Again, I don't know what you want from, this is a single source. Because I went through Tiffany, I went through Cammy back and forth to trying to figure out what we did the right things. We did, first of all, we got quotes, then it had to be a bid. You know what, I called State Board of Accounts myself. I looked up their statutes. I wouldn't know what they were. Per Kelly, how she explained everything, a wire line, there's one vendor, there's one single source. I called them, explained that to State Board of Accounts. We have to answer State Board of Accounts. That's who makes our rulings. We are allowed to make this purchase as a single source vendor who supplies one type. Now, in the 10 years, 5 years, whatever, is there gonna be more? Kelly hopes so. The state hopes so, but right now that's not the option. What we need to do is everything gets put back. Everything keeps getting put back on this dispatch center. For the combined dispatch center, we took out soft costs, right, Teresa? Because we wanted the study done. There was a vote to do the study, so we took out soft costs. We eliminated soft costs right out of the budget when it was in there. And nobody balked, nobody said anything. Commissioners wanted that done on the old commissioner, and that's what was happening. But now we are losing time. We're gonna build a jail, we're gonna be backwards, which is gonna cost more in the end. And then if we're not ready come July of next year, are we supporting two buildings? Are we gonna put dispatch, are we gonna leave dispatch downstairs in the basement? You know, we have to think about where are we gonna be in another year? Are we gonna move everybody but dispatch? Because we're behind the 8 ball. Fulton County got behind the 8 ball. They're a year out and their dispatch center still wasn't. It is now, but it was a year out because of a little bit of poor planning and some vendor issues. I don't want that happening to us. I don't want that to be us behind the 8 ball. We've done our homework. We've done it for several years. I want what's best for public safety, for those guys sitting in the back room, and those 13 downstairs. That's why we're here today. We want the best equipment we can for them.
I just state briefly, as I did in our 2 commissioner meetings ago, where I was this study that was paid for, and several months back, well, in December of 2022, I was invited to a meeting with Councilman Albright, Mayor Ryan Daniel of Columbia City, and the gentleman who commissioned this study, Barry Ritter, and the other sitting commissioners, where combined dispatch was discussed, and it was tabled to 2023. We got clear into middle of the year and hadn't been brought up. Councilman Albright and Mayor Daniel were strong advocates of combining dispatch. I was seeking to educate myself, so I have devoured this study multiple times. This study states that the #1 criteria is, can the service enjoyed by the county now be improved or at least maintained by combining? It doesn't prove that. That's before any kind of financial consideration. But if you do move on to a financial consideration, this study does not prove that there is savings for the county combining dispatch. That is my conclusion, having read this study multiple times. Councilman Barrett has told me previously that he has been on 2 committees, three that looked into combining dispatch, and all 3 times it was decided that that was not in the best interest of the county. So I just wanted to give a little bit of information on how I arrived at my.
I must not be privy to something going on here, because that was turned down by the commissioners, there wasn't, I mean, it wasn't turned down, it was decided not to do a combined dispatch. So why are we dealing with this now? I mean, why are we dismissing that when it's already been decided?
It's never been put to bed. There's been nobody from either council anywhere. And if you don't have the information, I'm sorry, you
I
don't
have that, I read
Okay,
it.
okay. So nobody's ever come and said, nobody's ever come.
It's not a council choice, it's a commissioner's choice.
Okay, there's meetings that continue, okay? I'm not saying, we're not getting into that.
Yeah, that's why I'm confused why you're coming up.
Because that's why the whole situation, why when Teresa made the motion about a year ago to actually upgrade councils with HTs were approved, councils were shot down at that point in time. Because we wanted the HTs first. That's what the group decision was. But then instead, because of the combined dispatch, this shouldn't be an issue because we'd have been in solid costs. It'd have been in there. We wouldn't be having this discussion because I would be able to plan. I have sat back and just had to do nothing with the dispatch part of things because I'm in limbo, not knowing what's going on. I have dispatchers that don't know what's going on. Nobody has communicated to them that, hey, great job, this is a dead issue. All they know is there's people looking at combined dispatch, and one of the main reasons they're concerned is because it's the termination of their jobs to combine and dispatch in public safety. That's why this keeps getting brought up. If you can look all these people back here in the eye or on YouTube right now, and those dispatchers watching this program right now, and tell them it's a dead issue, that would probably make them feel a lot better, that we're not looking.
Commissioners told us that 2 months ago.
Yeah, we're not on that dispatch because they said, no, they're not interested.
So nobody has come back to me. Nobody's relayed anything. No, look,
That's
I
the
get that.
commissioners,
I know where they stand, but it never came from council.
but we don't have any decision on that. We only do the.
Then why
finance.
did you pay a study?
You can withhold the funding. So is it your intention to withhold the funding for us to build our new dispatch center? Is that your intention?
I have no intention. I'm trying to get educated.
Okay.
Well, if I could jump in for a second, we all need to make sure that we understand and if I could help clarify it.
Go ahead.
We, essentially, the way I see it, unless somebody wants to throw something else in, we've got 3 choices. It's not our job to make the decision on what kind of radios they use. So with what they brought to us, we don't fund it. We fund it out of county general, or we fund it with the commissioner's recommendation out of our fund. Really, the way I see it, there's just those 3 things that we have to make a decision on, and it's one of those 3. And I think maybe if I just state that right now, it'll take a lot of the misunderstanding on whose responsibility it is to make decisions and what our job is in the process. And if we don't like this, then we don't fund it. If we do fund it, then we decide where we want to fund it out of, county general or ARPA. I don't know if that's too simplistic, but that's the way I'm seeing it.
Thank you.
It's more than we need to determine how we're going to fund it, if we're going to fund it. Correct, Ted?
That's correct. If you're going to fund it, then where? The director from dispatch is offering 200,000 of the 670 from her 911 funds, I believe is the 911 funds. And then the remaining 470 would come from ARPA. The funds are available. There's still approximately $1,325,716.42 that's not yet appropriated or allocated from ARPA. The funds are there. This is a system that we'd like to use. We're hoping to be allocation.
How will that affect other discussions that are in place on how to use those ARPA funds? How will this chunk of money affect the ARPA fund pool? I know you said nothing's allocated, nothing's earmarked, but I know there's discussions and there's other ideas on where those ARPA funds, because once those ARPA funds are gone, they're gone.
So In our most recent ARPA ordinance, we wrote a lot of money into what we call lost revenue. This remaining amount is not included in any other discussions, including the renovations at community corrections. This is what's remaining after everything else that's been discussed with ARPA. The 1.3 million is still.
So there's no other discussions about other uses for the ARPA that could be either more or less important than this?
I mean, there's things that are gonna come, we need to have the money spent by the end of 26.
Needs to be allocated by the end of 24, spent by 26.
Allocated by the end of 24, spent by the end of 26. We'll find other uses for the remaining balance. But since the very beginning, the first ARPA ordinance that we ever came forward with included these Motorola consoles. It's not something that we've just recently decided. It was decided nearly 2 years ago. And you've had presentations. Janelle Schmidt from Dispatch has sat here with you, gone over quotes. You've seen it all before. We're here again. We're asking for it. We're asking that you allocate the balance from the ARPA account and the remainder coming from the 911 funds. You've seen it before. We're here again. We're asking. Let's stop kicking the cans so we can get it ordered, get it installed, and do this best.
I have a question, Jason.
Yes, sir.
Get a little more educated. Now, the hard line coming in, if that goes down, are we still on the tower?
It's backup system. Like Kelly explained earlier, you'd have a backup built into that, yes, which would back up to Wi-Fi.
Okay,
So no,
but
you're not
the-
going
The
down.
one we got, the tower, we wouldn't have that anymore and that?
No, the tower still, you still use the 800 system. It's combined of towers. Yeah,
The
you're gonna have to.
radios that are out on the field will still use the tower. The
Okay.
tower will still be there, we'll still maintain that and that connection. What it does is it allows the 911 center to bypass the tower and communicate directly to the core, giving that better quality audio. It also allows the programming of that radio to be remotely, so that you don't have to pay a technician to come on site. You save some money there. And then it also allows you to add more features and functions from the system to your radio consoles so that you can operate more efficiently and keep your responders safe.
So that line goes into like a repeater that goes
No,
out?
that
to
line connects your radio consoles directly to the system's brains.
And this is why I asked her to come up. Non-vendor. She doesn't care what you buy. She's educated on the state system and how that level works, and that's it. I mean, I have the advantage, she said it was 2 pages long. I can hand that to you if you'd like to read it. It's gonna be like reading Chinese to it. It's the same thing we went through, Tom, about the VHF and how it works and trying to get it to work better. 800 versus VHF, it's stuff that you'd understand. That's why I bring somebody in like this, so you know, because we have questions, but she can answer.
Is that gonna help the fire departments?
Well, that's what we're pushing for, is we want them, and that's why I've attended with Chad at the meetings. I want to show support, because we do maintain everything for fire right now. J&K still has VHF going over there. Yeah, that's going to continue. We're hoping that they make the run to 800. That's what everybody's researching right now. Again, Tom's concern is South Whitley. We get that. But during our process of testing our radios, the ones that we currently have are HTs, there was actually a process that we were actually going to deploy, which was it was kind of like a repeater. I don't know if I use that word right. It was more or less like a repeater, which is a lot cheaper than a tower that's going to help that. I think if you have cheap Van Devender, also, he was having problems with the same radios we had. He had to change providers, and that's exactly what we found too. That provider that you have in your county, you need to do your homework on your internet provider. We have lost a lot of connectivity with Verizon. Don't know why, but we've told Verizon this, and we've had to switch in the county. Now we're with AT&T FirstNet, and we have so much better connectivity. So it does make a difference. We've done our homework on that too. And Michael, actually, we had to get him the rep to get him to switch to AT&T because he went to Verizon first. With your situation down in South Whitley. It's unique. You're in a hole.
I know.
It's elevation.
Yeah.
And that's why Chad has went. I know there's some councilmen that are on board to support the fire departments. I know this, and I think it's important that the fire knows this. But no, we're behind it 100% to dispatch. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, I'll get off subject.
I'm trying
for a
not to
minute.
change the subject on you.
But anyway, yeah, I want our fire departments get better coverage too. I mean, we're all volunteer except Columbia City. But we cannot, there's a few townships out here, there's no way they're gonna be able to afford to buy 800 radio.
And that's why I think
And I like-
we have a strong support of Chad being supportive on that.
And if he's
I
got.
know
some
that I've
money-
had discussions with Councilman Wheeler on that. There's support there.
So if the commissioner's got some of that money left, I'd like to see it go towards the fire department.
Amy Biggs has tried to look into research
And
grants.
I've been
too.
talking
Yep.
to Amy. Yeah, I'm on her board with her, so.
As a
yeah.
county collectively, I think we're doing the right thing. You're doing your research, you're having your vendors come in.
Yeah.
Now this, as far as the county sheriff's department and dispatch center, we're doing our best to put ourselves in the best position to service the fire and police in Whitley County. Because remember, we also have state police, DNR. We also have a probation officer out there that's doing home checks.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, I want to talk just a little bit. Because I was strongly wanting to talk central dispatch, and that's been gone for a couple of months. I got a call from J&K one day, 2 or 3 months ago, that said they were bidding on this council system, and there was no RFP with it. And they said, well, you know what we need, just go ahead and bid it. And so you submitted a bid, got a copy of it right here, and so forth. I went into the commissioners, said, hey, they're taking bids, no RFP, and so forth. Chad called Janelle, asked her if they were taking bids. She said no, they weren't taking bids, and so forth. He acknowledged that I was in the room. Got off the phone. I said, Chad, that's not correct. So he called Jason. Jason said, yes, we are taking bids on that. And your comment then was, we can get Motorola and it doesn't have to be the lowest bid, was your comment. You did not know I was in the room at that time.
Okay.
So my question is, really is a bigger question today, since you said there's only 17 counties or entities on the state system, counties, but only
All
17.
DNR, all state police.
I understand that. I got the floor, Chad. But that did surprise me. I figured there'd be a lot more with it. And so my concern with part of this, and I think some of my fellow council people, is that I don't know if there's any specs really written down for this, or it was just, one of my concerns is it just so toward Motorola that it does not give any of the other people a chance to bid or to show what their system can be. And that's a real concern of mine on this. Did we open it up and did we do it right? Or did we make it so specific that we purposely kept everyone else out? So that is a real concern of mine, that
For that one, you want me to answer that one?
let me continue. And then the other thing I have is, we're sitting here, and Joan, you hit on this several times, is we're sitting here and we haven't seen anything. And I think all of us council people was looking for something in our packet that we could study. It certainly would have been nice to have a meeting where you explained everything and so forth prior to this than here. You know, I think we all understand that we're going to get a new system, but we want to make sure it's done fairly and it's the right thing. And I question that. I really do question if it's been done correctly. So the packet bothers me. We've asked for that before. And I mean, this is a large sum of money. Then I'd asked some other things is, you know, is Kim asked about the tower. I'd asked, is there a maintenance fee? What additional cost is going to be in moving our system to the new jail? I mean, we ought to be seeing all that stuff, and that should all be in a report to us. And we haven't seen any of that, you know, and I know there's probably going to be more cost and move, you know, on things. And it's a little disheartening that we don't have that. And I don't know if it even exists. But we all know that we're probably going to be dealing with a new system and acknowledge that, but we need to make sure that this is done on the up and up.
Get back to square one. I turned in, well, okay, so the process was that we didn't, and I think a lot of confusion came with where the funding was coming from, the rules and regulations of spending such fund in that line item. I went from getting prices, going to quotes, going, oh, now we need an RFP, RPF, sorry, that we need that. I called State Board of Accounts. This is why I called Tiffany and told her, because I didn't want her to think that I was going behind her back. I called State Board of Accounts. I said, this is what we're dealing with. I found the state. You guys need a statute, or you guys already got it? Okay. Statute for single source purchasing. I'm like, well, this fits. That we don't need to go out for bid. We didn't even have to contact any other vendors. I did what I was told at the recommendations between Tiffany and the commissioners. It changed 3 times during February to now what I needed to do. I followed the instructions. When I got back to single source purchasing, that's when I looked it up myself because I wanted to know. We answered the State Board of Accounts. That's where I went to. I talked to them. When the lady, we had the sheriff's school training. I looked her up. I talked to her. She was great to talk to. She goes, yes, this covers you. Put a copy of that statute in your purchase. That's what her recommendation was, because that covered. And I didn't want to go off, well, I told her exactly what we're doing. This is our system. If you look at that bid, that is bid for bid. Ted already came up and told you that is a bid for wireline system. Did you know that? Motorola's bid is the wireline system. Problem is there's only one vendor allowed by state.
Well, I understand that.
Okay, well, let me finish. So your statement that these bids are not correct, they are correct. Wireline to wireline. However, state does not allow that hookup. It's not Harris's fault. It's not anybody else's fault. That's what the state allows. It's not Ted's fault. Ted says he's working on it. Am I not answering your questions, Jim? I mean, I don't know what you're mumbling at.
You're addressing only if you go state. My question is, have you looked at other systems to see? What you have 2 pages of good and bads. You have 2 pages of pros.
Okay.
But what
So
about
anyway.
what about these other systems?
That's an 800 system. I don't know what you're saying, or if you're not asking the right question that you want to ask.
What I'm asking is, like Zetron, their system, and these other systems, what are the pros and cons in those? Do you have where they outweighed, you know, or Motorola outweighed it? So
What was your next question? I mean, the bid's a bid. We're covered by state statute.
I understand.
You have it.
I understand.
So the RFP is out of the question, so that's been answered. What other question was there? What was your other question? What was the last thing you
Tower
said?
maintenance.
Tower maintenance.
Which you have none of.
We don't have tower maintenance. We
I
paid
didn't
for it.
ask that.
Yeah, there was a maintenance question on that about user fees.
Maintenance of the system, of the Motorola system.
There's maintenance in everything, of course. I mean, Fourier West charges us a maintenance system yearly.
On the radio system itself, the towers, infrastructure.
I'm talking about the consoles, software,
Sure.
stuff like that.
Sure
And
there is.
do you know what that is?
Yes, I do have figures in there. It's anywhere from 5 to 10. Is that correct, Joe? The maintenance agreement's priced from anywhere from a 2 to a 10-year pricing, I think is what's scoped in it. You can choose from. You have choices.
Generally goes up to 7.
So yes, this is like any other computer program, anything else you buy, vehicle warranty, you want extended, that's what you buy. Yes.
Thoughts?
I'll state again that I think we need to go with Commissioner's recommendation.
To get a motion,
I have a motion that we go with Commissioner's recommendation, pay out of our funds.
Okay, have a motion. Second by John. Discussion?
Well, I guess my discussion is brought on by Chad. He's accused me that I'm not able to vote, even though I have nothing on the table. So am I supposed to make a motion or a vote, or am I supposed to sit out? What am I supposed to do? Because right now, I don't know. I think we need legal counsel to find out on the state statute.
It's statute, Joe. You've already been.
I understand
That's
that.
what they're saying. That's the statute.
I understand that. But there's so much in that statute.
No, there's not. There's 3 lines. And if
Okay,
it
let's
has,
go back to my first question. Am I supposed to vote?
Well, that's totally up to you. If you feel that you need to abstain, abstain. If not, it may get challenged.
No, you accused me that I'm not supposed to, so I want to get recommendation on, am I supposed to or am I not? Because we have nothing.
Nobody can make that decision for you. Do you have a conflict of interest or not?
No.
Then vote. It may get challenged.
Jim, can I speak 1 second? J&K is going to recommend you buy Motorola, okay? So J&K withdraws it. So go ahead and buy the Motorola and spend the extra $200,000. It's dispatch will not like J&K to have it. There's a conflict in personalities, so I'd recommend that go ahead and let dispatch buy Motorola. My recommendation.
I have a question for Chad. Chad, what is the total amount? That is the council's,
You've had that before, but it's.
I mean, everything.
170.
What, the way you want it, what is the total cost? I don't think I've ever seen that.
Brought it once before. And of course, there's this escalation, but the total cost is $671,273. 200,000 will come from the 911.
Could you repeat that?
$671,273. 200,000 from the 911, the remainder from.
Is this a dated quote?
If we don't move on it, it will be.
Joe,
The quote was just recently expired, but my management extended it through this meeting. So that your prices, for the office prices are going up every year.
Janelle's from Motorola.
So at the end of this meeting, it could go up. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that after this meeting, if it does not get approved, I'll have to take it back to my proposal staff, the engineers, everything is, as you know, since the pandemic, supply chain issues, pieces, parts, computers, everything. You're talking about a tower earlier, 18 months to 2 years to get a tower, the price, generate the tower, the prices just keep going up. The other consideration to keep in mind is with the time frame of the jail and trying to move dispatches to the jail, as Sheriff Rentschler, we're not maintaining 2 buildings. We got to get equipment on order now. We got the holidays coming up. We got staffing, ordering on everything, getting it installed to meet his deadlines and time frame.
That was another thing, Jim, that was the other question. We talked about moving product. We're not moving product because this is a straight installed in a new building. So it's a.
You're not moving your recorders or anything?
That's different. So we just did phone updates. That price, we already have that. That's already figured in the budget for the phone. All the recorders and everything else has already been done. That quote is already, and that vendor is already knowing that we're building, already ready to move. We already had that price locked in and it's already accounted for.
Is there any recoup costs on old equipment? Can we sell that anywhere? It's obsolete.
No. I mean, if you got an 8-year-old laptop, you want to sell it, you can give it to your kid and play it.
Yeah. I didn't know.
It's a computer, no. I mean, maybe there's some stuff down there that's good. That would be something that would have to be,
Scrap it out at least.
well, I mean, there might be some uses. I don't know. That would have to be determined. I mean, through a radio guy, but I don't know.
I have a question.
Every month, $30,888, that pays for our 911. And there's only certain equipment that I can use that money to pay for. Like, I can't pay for any furniture. There's just certain things that I can pay for. This is one of them.
And we have a certain number of salaries that we pay for out of
Yes,
that.
6.
Yep. And this was, I think, in the early talks and stuff, I think that was kind of the agreement of commissioners and us to, that's what we wanted to bring forward to you guys as well, is that we wanted, she was able to contribute looking at the budget. We wanted to make sure you guys knew that we were trying to pitch in what we could. So I think that was, that was something that commissioners said, hey, we're like, yeah, so that's why I went to her and she figured that out and we're good there.
Why didn't we have these figures in a packet to us?
I have no idea. Well, I could have. I guess I gave them to commission. I did what I was kind of told. I was kind of working with the commissioners on it because for me to do that, I mean, for me to come to you, obviously we have to have recommendation commissioners. So that's who I've been working with in trying to feed information and get them information. They would have questions. I would try and answer those and feed them information.
And I think, and I'll interject as well, at one point, when we very first discussed this, this was sent to you guys. It was both the handheld and the console, so I apologize if I was supposed to resend that information.
And that
but
would have
You
changed.
guys did have that in
would
one
have
of your
changed too,
packets.
because it's been, I mean,
Yeah,
price of cars are
that-
gonna change.
that would have been
It's a computer
dated.
product. It's not gonna be the same as it was a year ago.
See, and that's one of the issues I think a lot of us on council have. You want us to approve $700,000. And we didn't have a thing in our packet that we could study or read ahead of time. That's, 700,000 is a lot of money
It's the same thing that they presented to you a year ago.
a year ago.
It's the same thing.
This is a year later.
I understand. I get that. And maybe that's on me. That's fine. I'll take that responsibility. That's okay.
Because that's one of the biggest things when people called me was, we don't have anything in our packet.
I don't, Jim, you keep saying people on council. I'm not one of those. I want to make sure that it's clear that I understood the process and seen the information.
And did you ask? If you were looking for something, did you ask?
Well, kind of during the summer, during our budget
No,
process.
I'm talking, you just got a packet, you had a conversation about something you felt was missing.
Well, I
Did you
I
ask?
watched your commissioner meeting, Chad, and there was only one piece of paper you passed around. One piece of paper for a $700,000 request.
If you felt you were missing information ahead of this meeting, you should have asked.
And today is basically, we wanted to present that
It's-
information to you. We're contributing to $200,000. You're around a 471 contribution from our club. And that's where we're at. So,
And we do have a motion in a second. on the
and I
floor.
feel like we did the homework. If you feel like I failed that, that's on me, Jim, or council. I'm sorry that if you didn't get that packet, I put you in. And the first thing was to do was a better line, so.
Well, I guess there's a confusion on, we're always supposed to approve the amount, but how do you approve the amount?
That is the total amount. What you wrote down.
I understand that, but you have to have some knowledge on what you're voting yes for, because we do hold a responsibility for that. And I guess I have some more questions on what's the time frame if this is passed, what's the time frame?
Okay, so one, this is later than what I'd like because I started this in February. this year. When I started contacting, I think even then, I needed stuff, and that's where the confusion came in. That's why I ended up the state board of accounts. So I would have loved to have this done. However, and I'm not trying to bring it back up because it's a dead issue, but combined dispatch was going on. So I'm waiting for a ruling, a final say in what's going on there, because I can't come to you and try and ask for money if I don't know what's going on. So now we're October, we're supposed to be done in July. One of my main questions was, what are we running out of time? Because I don't want to be Fulton County where they had some issues with vendors and things. And they didn't get in for a year, it sat there with a death hit. That's what I didn't want. So that's why I kind of pressured Chad. I pressured Rob and Teresa. I'm like, we need to get this going because this needs to be presented. So I did pressure them on saying, we need to make that decision. That's when, after that Chad did schedule this meeting, or the first commission meeting of the council. But we are running out of time. And one of the biggest things was fiber, getting that building. That was the main concern, of getting that fiber into that building. Because once we start building the building and getting that thing closed up, then all of a sudden we want to do something later. Now we're going to get more cost because we've already buttoned things up. Now we've got our site visit done. I went ahead and did that because, here I am praying that we get this system built and we get this ordered and it's going to be in time. So yeah, Brightspeed's been out there. They're contracted through AT&T. We're following our steps according to IPSC. This is where I get my direction from on that fiber line. She told me what to do. She set everything up, said, this is who you need to contact. I'll have them contact you. We have a site visit.
Randy?
My name is Randy Copel. I'm a 19-year employee of the Sheriff's Department and working in dispatch. It's about the safety of these guys. It's about the safety of these guys that put their life on the line every single day. And we should offer them the equipment that's going to take care of it. And we don't have to worry about it. There's a motion at the second on the floor. Let's have a vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a question. If I can have a little leeway here, maybe on procedure. I want to ask Ted a question. Is that all right?
That's fine.
Really a two-part question, Ted. Number one, when you talked about you're trying to get your company in the hard line, work on that process, how long do you think that's going to take?
I figure the first part of the year,
And
but it depends upon Kelly too, that we get what she needs.
I can't answer that question without telling you and say yes and a shot in the dark. If it was up to me, I'd have an answer and we would have a solution in July. But they just don't have the technology yet to make that connection for us.
Right.
Because the one thing we're not going to do is we're not going to pay Zetron so that they can charge you money. Zetron's going to step up to the plate and say, we're offering the solution. IPSC's going to say, we'll allow you to put it on the system. And then you make they're not going to make money on this twice.
well, as a taxpayer, I appreciate that because you, as the government agency, you shouldn't be subsidizing private industry.
Correct. So we have to work out that deal on top of then understanding and getting the connection. So I was hoping that we'd have something by the end of the year, but it's a shot in the dark. I don't know. I'm waiting on that.
And my second question in relation to that then is when you say there's a $250,000 gap there, would that number change at all with you doing what you needed to do to get hooked into the system? Would that number go up at all? Or are you just talking about?
That is the number. It's just waiting on her.
So you wouldn't end up being necessarily any different on the price of what this system is now?
No, but I withdraw I withdraw.
Well, I know, I want clarification on that.
The clarification is, do you want hard line or not? And they want hard line. If you go with the hard line, you're connected to one vendor today. Personally, JK doesn't think they need the hard line, but they do.
That's all I have.
Okay. Any other discussion, questions? Jason, anybody? Okay, we have a motion.
Well, we're gonna vote whether we give them money or not? Is that what
That's
this
what the
vote's
motion
on?
The motion paid out of what?
After 200,000 out of E911.
After 200,000.
470 and some change, right?
471, 273.
202. I'm sorry, wrong one. Yeah, 273.
Is this gonna cause any hardship on the fire departments? I know we talked about the fire departments, but is there anything down the line that would?
No, as I stated earlier, I've been going to fire chiefs meetings. Chad's gone. Kim shows an interest. I know Tom's very interested. We've shown support as the sheriff's department is currently doing it now. No, we want the best for the fire
I know,
department.
but are they gonna be able to work together? Tom, you're at the meetings. Are they gonna be able to work together?
Oh, yeah.
We've already, and
They're gonna work together.
I mean, the radio system. Do
Yeah.
The radio system.
I mean, if we can get the fire departments over on this system, yeah, no problem. But the problem is, the HTs are so expensive that
But you're
the
asking
fire
my
department-
question that if they switch, I'm talking
Yeah.
today. If
Joe,
they,
it's no difference in the rate 800 to VH systems right now.
Yeah.
Our guys
so
that
they can
here,
communicate with what they have today. with-
they can switch over to talk to fire on VHF if they're out doing traffic detail and you have one fireman down here and a policeman down here, they can go fire wide or whatever else and communicate on the full VHF system.
That's my-
On
that's
the
my
new
question.
800 system, Janelle we've already been contacting the state, we've already dedicated, we took out our ops channels, so we already have 3 channels dedicated to fire, which already been renamed this week on 800 just for fire use. So now they have working channels and fire on 800.
Yeah,
Designated in the channel line.
they're both gonna work together.
This township has the 800 office already, is that correct?
200?
They may.
200 or 800?
200.
200?
300.
Did they get-
It says
300.
Did they get the grant from SDI, purchase the radios?
Well, I'm not gonna give you that information. I don't know about that.
I don't
That's
know if they're
800?
paying for it.
That's what I'm assuming.
I don't,
I heard 200 was getting 800 units.
300,
I know 300, but I also.
I don't know about 2.
Last EMA meeting I did with Amy.
Could use townships here, I'm not sure on the numbers myself.
Costco.
Columbia and Smith.
Yeah, Bosco may purchase, he's asking about Union.
No,
No,
I asked them about Smith Township.
Smith, I'm sorry. Yes.
I'm assuming that they do have a conversation with the fire chief.
The only one I know confirmed is Columbia Township.
so we're still in discussion.
Yep.
So I guess what I'd like, if each council member could do it in 2 minutes, tell what their thoughts are on a yes or no vote right now. So I'll start. I've been told this morning that we're in charge of finances and the money. We're really not in charge of what equipment you want, which I have no problem with that. And then when that was said, then I have county employees applauding that comment towards the council this morning. That bothers me a little bit. We're here to service the county, do the best job we can with the money that is in our hands. So when those comments are made, then I get an applause from the employees. You know, that hurts me a little bit, which I can get over it. I'm fine with it. But I'm going to tell you how I feel right now coming into this meeting. I was a no. I understand what you want. I understand you can't do it right now. You said, you know, go ahead with that. That's fine. I've got no problem with that. So as of right now, I'm a yes. But do not come back to me and tell me in 6 months you need money for a tower, or you need money for this, or you need money for that, because it's a no right now for me. So that's where I'm at. So as far as the new councils, I'm a yes.
And unless the state system blows up or goes down, or, I mean, I don't know what would happen. But I get what you're saying.
So that's what, I just want everybody to know where I'm at.
Anyone else?
I second the motion. I'm in favor of the Rich's request.
I haven't heard a lot from you two. I know, what's your thoughts now?
Well, I can't deny I'm disappointed because I got in communication.
I'm
And I'm being told I should have communicated, but that's not how a proposal works. So that's where I'm at. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in our communication between all of us. I'm disappointed in all of us.
Well, I can tell you, I'm in favor of it, but it better work better than the last radios I bought for the county.
And
Or you haven't heard me before, you will hear me. Because when somebody tells me we're only using half of what that unit can put out, I get a little nervous. So if this is what you want, you better make it work. Because I still got a few years left up here yet. I just won't approve anything. I'm like Tom, just make it work. If this is what you want, then go for it.
No one's sitting up here not wanting you to have the best. Our job is to work for the county to utilize the funds to the best. We want you to have the best. I told you that before. We want you to have the exact, absolute best of everything. But that's not what this is about. This is about funds. So that's.
I get where you're coming from, and you have to be responsible and you have to answer for that. It may be different if we didn't have such funds available, because I'm sure it'd be a totally different conversation. If I was up there trying to get $670,000 out of general funds, it's not. But right now, we have it in there. You know, made this proposal before in the past, before some of you, before some of the commissioners, and it got tucked away and not presented. So I feel like we're about, even before some of you up here, we're about 8 years behind on trying to get this process forward through, as before you, John. That it was kind of just kicked off to the side. We were asked to provide something, it got kicked off to the side.
But Jason, I want to thank you for having talks with me about the fire department, because I feel that if we're going to do this, we've got to make it right with them too.
And this is a major step for us, to be able to provide some of the best equipment we can to do that. We have, and that's why I showed the support of going to fire chief's meetings now.
Nick, you made the motion.
Put me on the spot, Jim.
No, just,
You made the motion.
Tom put you on the
So,
spot.
so again, our job is to fiscally ensure that we're doing what's best for the county. I think this is what's best for the county based on the recommendation of the commissioners and of our sheriff. We have the money, it's there, we need to fund it.
Okay. Or
One small point, the word fair was used today, and I think that we all need to keep in mind that doing things the right way and being fair, there's a difference. And public safety can't always be fair. There's issues there that, public safety has to be taken care of. Nobody wants to be sitting there in the closet while somebody's kicking your door in and not having a police officer be able to get to you. So fairness can't be a consideration when we're talking about the safety of the public. It can't always be a consideration. I'm not talking about fairness in process. I'm talking about fairness and sometimes on how funds are distributed to certain departments. And fairness can't be part of this issue.
And my thoughts, as I said earlier, we all knew that there's going to be a new radio system. I'm a little disappointed in the process. And I stated that what happened with my experience, and that made me think a little harder if the process was being handled properly. And I think Joan hit it on the head, the communications we're lacking. We can point fingers at everybody else,
I'll take
but we're all on that and that. So, but everybody knew that with the new jail, we were going to have a new radio system and so forth. But I was concerned with the processes and if it was being handled properly. And I think you can understand when you're privy to two calls and there's two different answers, it does make you think. So, but, as I said before in some of our discussions, the these discussions are good. Some people might think they're wasteful, but the thorough discussions that this council has had over the last couple of years is, as Tom said, good for our community and so forth, because that's what we're elected to do and so forth. So we've had discussions. I'd like to see paperwork ahead of time. I'd like to see your presentation a month ago. I think that would have helped a lot of things, and that didn't happen. So we have a motion on the floor now. So. Any other questions, discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion to spend approximately $471,000
$471,273 out of ARPA and $200,000 out of E911.
for radio system, raise your right hand. All those opposed, passes.
Thank you. Anything else?
You got us wore out.
I think our discussion was good.
It is good.
I've been told by people after meetings they don't like our discussions. It has to happen to get to the final decision. This is exactly how it's supposed to work. And I think our discussions are good. I agree or may not agree, but that's the way we come to the final decision. And we came to a final decision.
We got a couple more items on the agenda. One is meeting schedule for next year. We don't have to do it today, but we can.
Make a motion, we approve the meeting schedule for 2024.
Can we, hold on, can we talk about moving the time from 8 AM? In the spirit of publicity and being available for public scrutiny, I think we need to visit the thought of moving it to like 6 or something like that in the evening.
Well, we've talked about that before, and the problem with that is it runs into people's overtime or coming in after work, because it is helpful to have department heads here. So if we had questions, they're able to come up and answer them. So that's, because I was always for the 6 PM meetings also, until I had a few in, and then I realized we really need those people to attend.
So what about like 3 PM?
I like what you're saying about the evening meetings, because I think it comes back to transparency. And I think it comes back to the availability of people who would otherwise want to be involved in a council position that don't, because they can't be here during that 8 o'clock meeting. I appreciate what Joan has said, but I think that is a very, 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 very small part of anybody ever being inconvenienced. And that most of the time, it's going to be a department head that has the ability to adjust their own schedule to be here for an evening meeting if they're so-called, or want to be here on their own, even if they don't have active participation in the meeting. They can adjust their schedules. I've been an advocate for years that we should have evening meetings, or just the availability of the public to be at them and the transparency that goes along with that availability. Outside the fact that our meetings are recorded and available online, it lacks the ability for constituents to have participation. And I would support a change in our meeting times to an evening meeting also.
How does that work if we were to adopt that? Is it just needs a motion and then we move it to a specific date? So I would motion that we move it to.
We already have a motion on the table.
I think it needs more discussion. I mean, there's a lot of people here that haven't made any voice to it.
Well, I would say table it until we can get input from department heads on what their thoughts are. And then maybe make a decision on it next month.
But what does everyone else think? What do you think?
I think the 8 o'clock meeting is sufficient. Past history on it with our department heads and people coming in on it, that seems to work out the best on it. But also in the past, I've been advocate of changing the hours on it even in locations on it. So I will withdraw my meeting and suggest we table it for further discussion.
You
Okay,
could even mix it up, do 6 months on one time, 6 months at another.
Or every other month. We've got several department heads here. Does anybody want to speak to it?
I'm in favor of table.
Second. Motion?
Can we hear from the department heads we have here that if they want to input now?
All except you.
Hello, Scott Wagner, Health Department. We have tried that several times in the past. We've also had evening hours for our clinic in the past, based on suggestions from the state, things like that, to give people who work time to come in and do things like that. Limited success with those things. I guess my feelings is if you were going to have council or commissioner meetings in the evenings outside of normal business hours, that would be a requirement for all the department heads to be there. Because as you know, sometimes things come up, you have questions that were anticipated that you would need those people to be there. So I think it would be just a matter of if you're on the agenda or not. I think you would need to have department heads there every time, because these unexpected questions come up and then you're off to another meeting, you're down to another meeting down the road to get those things answered. Unless you'd want to do 2 times a month like commissioners, that might be easier. Yes, we've had limited success in the past. There's just a lot of apathy in the community about government to begin with. And a lot of people just don't want to participate. So what you typically get are those squeaky wheels that come in about that, not necessarily a general representation of the entire public. It's just that line.
Well, and another thing to think about too is all of the meetings for the other areas are already set per night, per week. I think that you have to watch that description. So you have it on Tuesday night, so what else is Tuesday night? A council member needs to attend.
Is that a motion to table?
My life revolves around my
I think
children.
somebody made it. I'll make a motion that we table.
Okay. For a second?
Okay.
Okay. Is there a second to motion to table? Okay. We have a motion and a second to table discussion. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, the same. Okay. Minutes of the last meeting.
Motion approved is presented.
That's
Second.
Thor.
1 second.
Motion by Thor, a second by Kim, that we approve the minutes of the September 6th meeting. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, the same. Any comments from the public?
We got commissioner report.
Oh, yeah, we do have Commissioner. Go ahead, Chad.
The only thing that I would add is that at our September 18th, no, at our meeting yesterday, rather, we executed a contract with Andy Boxberger from Carson LLC. He will now be representing the county as our county attorney. That's it.
For a lengthy meeting yesterday.
Record time.
Yeah.
Record time.
I observed that.
Yeah.
Chad, did you ever get appraisal done on that plan?
No, we have not.
Any quotes or anything on the bids for appraisal?
I'll have to get back to you.
Chad, wasn't Andy clear that he works for the commissioners? And didn't know, we talked about that as opposed to the entire county, or?
Yeah, we can, if we want an attorney, we can hire our own attorney. We know that.
But there are some times that the council may need representation that might align with the best interest of the county as a whole, and in that case, Andy would represent this body as well. But there are other times where there may be conflicts, and in those cases, Andy would represent the county commissioners. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's why I've checked it, we can hire our own attorney. I get it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the public? Okay. Tom, you got anything on personnel?
No, I don't think we didn't meet last one, or
I wasn't here, but I thought you did regarding that.
Yeah, but I don't think we made any decisions on anything. So no. We'll meet after this meeting now.
You guys did approve for
Yes.
Mark to have the 2 employees to cover
Oh,
the
okay.
same amount as 1.
I got it.
1 hour,
We didn't make
right?
any changes.
Right, Mark?
I don't have that. So yeah, okay. I don't have that. So what? I don't have the minutes from that one.
He took a part-time position, split it, same hours. One guy went to one hour a day. A day, and then the other person,
3 hours.
yeah, but
Same hours,
same dollars.
same dollars.
Yeah.
Didn't add it.
And that was on cleaning, right?
Correct.
Yes. And we do have personnel after this.
I have nothing further.
Joan?
No, I'm just glad we got through everything today, and I think it turned out after a good discussion.
Thor?
I have nothing.
Nick? Tom?
I have nothing else.
Jim? I have nothing. Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Need both of these signed, so don't leave. That's the solid waste and county.
Right, so I mean, I can have people sit in with her, and if for some reason they can't,